For more on the proposed peace deal between Israel and Hezbollah, I'm now being joined by foreign affairs analyst Kelechi Deka here in Lagos. Good to have you join us on The World Now.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Well, it would seem like we are seeing signs of an end to this conflict. How optimistic are you about this diplomatic breakthrough?
Yeah, presently is a 50-50 thing, and we know that this this truce is being forced by a lot of development geopolitically, and most importantly is the United States election with Donald Trump coming in. So the whole world, the entire world, is having a kind of a wetted breath. Nobody knows how he's going to his new foreign policy is going to be deployed, especially concerning the two major wars in the world today: the Russian-Ukrainian war and the Israeli Hezbollah and Israeli Hamas and Israeli-Iran war. So some of these things are the things that are influencing the call for ceasefire, so that people will sit down and know what next to do. And also the fighters' arms are being kind of, controlled. The Israeli government are also looking at, even though they know that Donald Trump is a great supporter of Israel, and his new, Secretary of State designate is also a hawkish pro-Zionist, and knowing the link between Iran and Russia, and also Russia and Ukraine, and the likelihood that there's also going to be a kind of ceasefire agreement in Ukraine, Iran has paused its attacks on Israel. And Hezbollah, seeing that, also see that this is the opportunity for them to also go into a ceasefire to see what comes out of it. But from developments in the last 24 hours, it seems that each of the groups want to inflict as much damage and injury as they can before the ceasefire takes place.
Well, the proposal, of course, has already won approval in Beirut, but some persons would say that Iran is a proxy actor, to be considered as well, just like you mentioned. But could Iran become the sticking point when you consider recent comments by Ayatollah? And do you see any serious obstacle to implementing any of these agreements?
Yeah, Iran is being so careful at this point because of the incoming President Donald Trump, and the Ayatollah and the Iranian government, they are aware of the fact that Donald Trump is not, has no kind of regard towards them, and wouldn't want to ratchet issues in the Middle East. So if you noticed, they've placed a pause on some of their rocket launch and attacks, against Israel. They are watching a lot of developments, especially how they are linked to Russia, and also the link to the politics of the region with the reaction from other Arab states. So Iran is watching, and they also know that should anything happen, Israel has gained a lot of traction presently. If you notice, for the first time in 20 years, the Israeli Defense Force has crossed the Litani River. This is the first time they're getting there. And this has also excited a lot of northern Israeli leaders who are against this proposed peace deal, because they are the ones at the forefront of the battle. And the Lebanese government is very weak to the Lebanese government is trying as much as they can to ensure that this peace deal is signed and comes into effect. The only support they're getting is from France, that is backing them, because France is a pro-Lebanese country, and France is working with US to see how far they can go to bring peace in that region. But anything can still happen, because you're dealing with a non-Iran wouldn't want a situation whereby Hezbollah would be pushed so much to the level that the reprisals will come against Iran.
Hopefully we get to see a deal, but not a lot of persons are optimistic about this deal between Israel and Hezbollah. But we've seen both sides accusing themselves of not adhering to a UN resolution that ended, of course, the 2006 war that made similar provisions. What measures do you think should be in place for strict enforcement if and when an agreement is reached?
Yeah, from Israel is reading the situation presently and very closely because some of the leaders within the Israeli Defense Force and even some opposition leaders in Israel have seen a kind of an opportunity. They've seen an open window for Israel to inflict as much damage as they can, so that before Hezbollah will be able to regroup, to re-equip, and before Hezbollah will be able to get to the level of traction and the momentum that they will become a major threat to Israel, Israel would have gained a lot of ground. So that's why some Israeli leaders are opposing this deal. But Benjamin Netanyahu is also in a very tight corner because he is also reading the issue he's having with the United Nations and the issue he's having with the ICC, and also the growing call across the world that he should end the war. So now is how do you balance the expectations of the domestic expectations of your people and also the international call for you to stop this war. Then on the other hand, Iran is also trying as much as they can to make sure that the escalation of hostilities in that region will not get to a level whereby United States
Already we see that Israel's military is currently conducting several strikes in southern Beirut, and shortly after issuing warnings to about 20 buildings, and which it says Hezbollah targets in the Lebanese capital, that's in the southern suburbs of Lebanon. So we're hoping to get Foreign Affairs analyst Kelechi Deka back online. If you can still hear me, before I just let you go, the major problem is the more than 1 million people who are displaced, and of course, many of them left homeless, heading into winter. And my final question for you is, what sort of emergency response do you think should be in place, considering, and also, if you take a look at the debt relief for Lebanon?
Presently, as at 2 days ago, the challenge that a lot of people are having there is who is going to bring in the relief, who is going to bring, monitor the relief, because the Irish soldiers just pulled out from the UN force, and UN is having a running battle with Israel, which means Israel has been accusing UN of siding with Hezbollah and siding with the Lebanese. So the situation there is quite there. A lot of people are going to suffer, and the displaced people, I don't see them returning home in the next few weeks, because the situation there is still very tight.
It's really terrible. Foreign Affairs analyst Kelechi Deka, thank you so much for helping us understand what the situation is. Hopefully we get Israel and Hezbollah can reach a deal and save this millions of people still in dire need of some kind of shelter. Thank you so much.